In this third tutorial, we're going to make a very basic patch and show you how to prepare the patch for playing back in AI, then import it into AI and see it playing in the media server. Okay, so let's make a start. So, we're going to make something very, very simple here. We're just going to make a square which spins and has a changing colour on it. So the first thing that we're going to use a rectangle as the basis. This is a piece of geometry that's supplied by the Salvation engine. It's actually a really useful starting place for a lot of your patches. So I'm going to right click in a grey window. I'm going to choose Insert Module. I'm going to go to the Generator section, and from Generator I'm going to choose Rectangle. Then I'm going to choose a place and then left click with my left mouse button to place that module. Like so. Okay, so we've got our rectangle module there, but we can't actually see anything. We've got no kind of output at all at the moment. So what we're going to do, we're going to add a window module so that we can see what we're working on as we're building our patch. So I'm going to right click, Insert Module, GL, and down the bottom we've got Window Module. So again, this window is another really useful one. And if you remember in one of the previous videos, I said that if we want to connect yellow things, it's always going to be that GL menu. So I could have kind of guessed that an output going from this module would have been in the GL section. Okay, so let's just connect those together. And let's turn the window on like so. Okay, great. So we've got a white square here. It's not very exciting at the moment, so I think we should make it a little bit more fun. Let's get a little bit of movement maybe. So I'm going to add a couple of modules here. I'm going to add a rotation module which we can automate within the patch, and I think I'm also going to add a scale module, because if I rotate this square as it is now, we're going to lose a lot of the size of the square. So I'm going to scale him down a bit and then rotate the scaled version. So as I said just now, we're going to put things on this yellow pipeline here. So we're going to be using our GL menu. So Insert Module, GL. Now I mentioned that we're going to rotate and we're going to scale this module. So we've got two modules here. We have both scale and rotate. So one at a time I'm going to choose. Then I'm going to again Insert Module, GL, and then choose the other one, which was scale. There we go. And then I'm just going to connect them in line like so. And you'll notice that when I drop this last connection in, because an input port can only have one single connection, my new connection will replace the existing connection like so. Okay, so we've got our rotation module and we've got our scale module. So just to confirm, if I adjust that one, we see the size change, and if I adjust the angle, we see the rotation change, as you would expect. Okay, so this is all very good and well, but I think we should sort of get it to roll along of its own accord. So let's automate the rotation module. Now we can see there's an input port here which lets us send a control value to the module and remotely adjust this rotation amount. Now we could do this with a varying quantity of things. We could use MIDI controllers, we could use ArtNet controllers, we could use anything, any kind of signal that we can get in there really. I'm going to generate a signal for this. So Insert Module, go to the controller section, and in controller we have a module called LFO. This is a low frequency oscillator. In audio terms, it's used to often modulate a synthesizer, and we use it very much in the same in video terms. We use it to adjust or modulate or oscillate a signal. So I'm just going to choose that module and just place him. I'm going to put it next to my rotation because that's what I'm going to control. I'm quite a fan of having a clean, visible workflow. It makes it much easier when you revisit a patch in later times, or even when you pass the patch on to someone else. It makes it much easier to understand what's going on. Okay, so let's just connect the output of the LFO, and we can see that value varying, and I'm going to connect that to the rotation port on the rotate module. Now we can't see anything happening first of all, and that's because this parameter, this controller next to the port, adjusts the amount of modification this external signal does. So at the moment it's on a 0, so if I just roll that up to the right, in fact we can keep rolling. You see I can drag with the mouse, but if I actually right click on the control, in set value we can choose some parameters. So I'm going to choose 1 for now. It's going to fly around quite quickly, but let's not worry. And then what I'm going to do on the speed module itself, let's just bring the actual speed of the LFO down. Just bring them all the way down. There we go. There we go. That's loads nicer. Okay, so we can see at the moment that this rectangle is it's rotating one way, and then it's stopping and it's rotating back the other way. So that's down to the wave type. So this is a sine wave. So sine wave is a constant value like so. Now if I wanted to keep continuing rotating in the same direction, I want a different type of wave, I'm going to use a saw wave. So you'll see now that it gives the impression that the rectangle is constantly turning, always turning, always turning, always turning. Okay, so let's get maybe a little bit of colorization in this, just to make it a little bit more interesting. Then we'll get it prepared for AI, and then we'll get it into there. So on the rectangle module, I've got a color port here. Now, if we think about color, color is slightly different to angle. Angle is generally a single number. We talk about 90 degrees, 360 degrees. But if you think about color, when we talk about color channels, red, green, blue. In some cases, red, green, blue, and white, or amber, or even a transparency. So this tells us that colour is actually expecting what we call a vector, a number which has 4 sections within that number, each relating to a different component of the overall value. So if I was just to use a standard LFO and plug that in there, that will actually be, that single value will be passed to all colour channels at the same time. So really we're just going to see a sort of dark light thing there. Just put that up to 0, so the range is 0 to 1. There we go. Maybe we can speed that up a little bit so we can see that flash a bit more. There we go. If I put that on another wave, there we go. So triangle will give us a constant up, down, up, down. Okay, so let's say though that I want to maybe vary those colour channels separately. So what I'm going to do there, we need to, as I say, a vector. We need to have multiple values, probably multiple LFOs, combining together into the colour port. So I'm going to right click, insert module, and then in the math section I have vector join. And again, the math section is something I'm going to do a big tutorial on, so don't worry at the moment about all the different modules there. So I'm just going to disconnect this module by right clicking and choosing disconnect. I'm going to connect the vector join to the rectangle like so. Then I'm going to just duplicate, copy and paste the modules, and then we'll put one into the red, so you see the red increasing and decreasing, one into the green, and one into the blue. And I'm just going to adjust the speeds of them very slightly so that they're all running out of synchronization with each other. And what this means is that over time our colours are going to sort of vary and add up together. There you can see that we're getting a much longer period of time in which the colour is changing. Okay, so whilst it's basic, I think this is great. Let's get this into AI. So all we've got to do here, if we save this patch as it is, AI would not see the output of the patch. We actually need to give it an in-out, a way for the system to see this image. So what I'm going to do first, I'm going to add the patch IO. So we right click in an empty area, we choose Insert Patch IO. Now I know that we actually want a green output here, a texture output, rather than an open GL output. So we're going to have to convert from yellow to green. If we wanted to do green to yellow, it's very easy. We can just use this rectangle module and we could pass a green texture in and receive a yellow GL signal out. Going from yellow to green requires a couple of modules, but it's still really easy. So as it's a yellow connection, we need to go to our GL section So that's Insert Module, GL. The first one we're going to use is Render to Texture. So this will take our yellow and create a green texture. Now with this module we need to use one other module called the Clear module. So again, that's in the GL section, Insert Module, GL, Clear. Now the reason we use the Clear module is what the Render to Texture module is doing. The Render to Texture is taking our vectors, so when our signal is in OpenGL it's a vector, and it's creating frames from that. It's rendering each still image for every frame. Now unless we tell it to clear its memory after it's rendered a frame, it will just hold that frame. So if I connected my modules just like so, we just get a still static image. But if I put the clear in line, then every time a new frame is drawn, the clear module will make sure the render to texture clears its memory after it's output it and prepares for the next frame. So all we're going to do now, we're just going to take the output and connect it to our output like so. And then I'm actually going to set, we can manually set the resolution to render to here. I'm going to put this onto automatic, so it's going to look at whatever the end of our graphics pipeline is and size it accordingly. Okay, so I'm just going to really very quickly just tidy this up so that if I need to come back and have another look, it makes a lot more sense. I think what I'll do, if I just move that up there, I find it's a little bit easier to separate things out sometimes. Okay, so that's looking good to me. So what I'm going to do now, I'm just going to save this patch and I'm going to bring it into AI. So we're going to go File, Save As. I'm going to go into my Distrib Patches folder and I'm going to call this, let's create a folder in there in fact. Let's call it Salvation Tutorials and I'm going to call this My First Patch. Then I'm going to save that. Okay, so now we've got our AI project up and running. All I need to do, I come to the top, View Browser. We can actually see my little one in there, my little patch in there. Now my folder is open up in the correct place. So when you open the browser, there's a Patches folder. If I scroll down there, I should find the folder that I just created. That was my Salvation Tutorials folder there. My First Patch is there, so I can just drag him into the interface like so. I'm just going to close my browser for the moment. We select the layer. There we go, and we can bring him in like so. So there's our spinning rectangle with our colours going on.